Hello, my dear students. Today I am going to discuss with you a chapter of class 10 chemistry, metals and non-metals. We know that there are 118 elements are present. Most of the elements are metals. Some are non-metals and some are metalloids. So metalloids are those elements which show the property of metals as well as non-metals. Now I am going to discuss with you metals. So what is metal? Metal are those elements which contain at least 1, 2 or 3 electrons in their outermost shell. Or metals are those compounds which donate electrons. Suppose magnesium, Mg. Atomic number of magnesium is 12. That means electronic configuration of magnesium is 282. One thing, outermost shell of magnesium there are 2 electrons. That's why magnesium is metal. Suppose sodium, atomic number of sodium is 281. That means in sodium, in outermost shell there is 1 electron. That is, sodium is also a metal. Hope you understood what is metal or definition of metal. Now we are going to discuss the properties of metals. Number 1 property, metals are generally solid, hard. One property of metal is hard. Metal is always hard. Okay. Number 2, lustrous. The surface of any metals, pure metals, is lustrous. Lustrous means bright surface. Third important property is malleable. If we beat a metal by another hard substance, it will convert into a thin sheet. This property is called malleable. Number 4 important properties of metals is ductile. Ductile means due to which this property we can make an wire. Number 5th property is metals have high melting point. But there is some exceptions. Except mercury, all metals are solid or hard. But mercury is, there are some few important exceptions from physical properties of metals. So mercury is metal but liquid at room temperature. Generally metals are solid, but there is exception. Mercury is liquid. Lead and mercury are metal, but poor conductor of heat and electricity. Gallium is a metal, but it has a low melting point. Generally metals have high melting points, but except gallium, all metals have high melting point. If we put gallium in our hand palm, then it will melt. Iodine is non-metal but lustrous. Generally non-metal are non-lustrous, but there is exception. Iodine is non-metal but lustrous. Graphite is non-metal, but it is a good conductor of heat and electricity. Generally non-metals are bad conductors, but there is exception, only graphite. Graphite is a good conductor. So hope you understood the definitions of metals and the properties of metals, physical properties of metals. Now we are going to learn the chemical properties of metals. Reaction with oxygen. When metal reacts with oxygen, it forms metal oxides. Suppose copper plus oxygen produces copper oxide. When metal reacts with oxygen, it forms metal oxide. Example, copper plus oxygen, copper oxide. Aluminium plus oxygen, aluminium oxide, Al2O3. In this reaction, when metal reacts with oxygen, it forms metal oxides. Metal oxides, the nature of metal oxide is always basic. The nature of metal oxide is always in basic, but there are some metals oxides which have the property, which have the nature of basic as well as acidic. This type of metal oxides is called amphoteric oxide. In class 10 NCERT, there are two names are mentioned only. Aluminium oxide and zinc oxides are the amphoteric oxides. So chemical properties of metals. Number one is reaction with oxygen. When metals react with oxygen, it forms metal oxides. Example, copper plus oxygen, copper oxide. There are some metal oxides. Generally metal oxides are basic in nature, but few exceptions. There are some metal oxides which show both the property of both the nature, basics as well as acidic. These metal oxides are called amphoteric oxides. Number second property is reaction with oxygen. Metals reacts with oxygen. Now, water. Reaction with water. When metal reacts with water, it forms metal hydroxide. For example, sodium plus water produces sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. This reaction is exothermic. We know that sodium and potassium should be kept immersed in kerosene oil. Sodium and potassium cannot be stored in water because this is an exothermic reaction. Heat is evolved. That's why sodium and potassium should be kept immersed in kerosene oil. Sodium and potassium is also very reactive elements, very reactive metals. They can fire at air anytime, or in water there is heat is evolved. Some metals react with steam. Steam is also a form of water. Iron reacts with steam only. Some metals react with cold water, some metals react with hot water. Magnesium reacts with hot water. So our second property is reaction with water. Metals react with water. When metals react with water, it forms metallic hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. Our third chemical property is reaction with acids. Reaction with acids. When metal react with acids, it forms salt plus hydrogen gas. For example, iron react with HCl, it forms FeCl3 plus hydrogen gas. When metals react with acid, it forms salt plus hydrogen gas. Zinc plus sulfuric acid, Zn plus H2SO4, it forms zinc sulfate, ZnSO4 plus H2. So the third property of metals is reaction with acids. When metals react with acid, it forms salt plus hydrogen gas. Example, iron plus hydrochloric acid, iron chloride plus hydrogen gas. Zinc plus sulfuric acid, zinc sulfate plus hydrogen gas.